Welcome, everyone. Tom Ertel here, SVP Technical Sales, Strategic Accounts with Seceon. I, too, am honored to be here with Roger. Roger's with one of our largest partners, Logically. He's been there for, I believe, 10 plus years. He currently runs the SOC for them. And I think, as Maggie mentioned, they have probably in excess of 600 customers dealing with, I think, over 400 alerts per day. So let's turn it over to Roger here and let you talk about, what are the kinds of things you're seeing today in the marketplace, and how is our platform helping you deal with them?
Sure. Yeah, so I'll talk about probably the largest attack vector that we're currently seeing right now, which is inbound attacks via SSL VPN or Office 365, the user accounts, and a little bit how what it is that we're exactly seeing from those, and that is that in a lot of cases we're the RockU password list that was released not that long ago. I think it was 10 billion user accounts of passwords. There have been instances where we have seen not even a login failure for an account, but we have gotten notification to that inbound from the Seceon platform, notifying us to a login, and then a scan of the network, or an RDP session inbound with some other activity. And then obviously from the Office 365 account, your employees are your weakest link. They're always so willing to hand out those creds. And the system makes it really nice because the threat actor is always logging in from an area that is not, in geolocation to the company. Makes it super easy to see there. But I want to switch back just for a second to the SSL VPN part of it. And even when there is not when there's not a failure, the number of inbound brute force attacks. We actually recently had a edge vendor firewall company. We were monitoring something from the firewall aspect through the Seceon platform, and we saw something that didn't look right. So we actually started running packet captures on the inbound and realized that the vendor had a CVE that they didn't know about. Contacted that company and presented them with the data in which they released as CVE. So the amazing thing about this platform here is that we're actually seeing things and notifying vendors to items that they're not even aware of.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Roger. So, that's one of the things we pride ourselves on, is the ability to see everything in the customer's environment, present that to, the service provider or the customer, and then let them act on it. So you guys are seeing, I think, 400 plus alerts per day. Talk a little bit about how, the platform can help you deal with that volume and keep up with it, actually.
Yeah, so what I can tell you is, with the number of events that we ingest from our customer base, it would take 20 times the number of employees that I currently run to try and sift through that type of data. And with the platform, the way it correlates and ingests everything and then brings it down, and we have some fairly large enterprises that we're monitoring, and we average roughly one alert per customer per day. The value there, you just can't speak to the value of it. And a lot of it is actionable. And that's the key, is, between the system learning everything through its AI and baselining, and then, some tuning from our team on what is known and good for this customer, but may not necessarily be known and good for another customer through the tuning. And then, we really get down to, what I call the nitty gritty. We get down to, some actionable stuff.
Fantastic. You mentioned baselining, which I'll just like to highlight is I think one of the key uh, capabilities of the platform, the ability to build a behavioral model, if you will, for each host, and then look for things that it's doing that are different than it's done in the past, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of the baselining, which I think really that's what helps, anybody trying to provide services keep up with things. So do me a favor, talk a little bit about ransomware. I think that's something on people's mind a lot is ransomware attacks. Have you seen any of those, and how does the platform help you detect them early and deal with them?
Yeah. So, just like with any ransomware attack, obviously before that hits, there'll be data exfiltration. Now it depends on how the threat actor gets in there. And as a note, we have a lot of customers where we don't manage anything in their environment. We're only there to monitor and notify. But seeing the threat actor, we may not necessarily have saw for whatever reason why they got in. Maybe the customer didn't configure something to correctly send the data, but there have been instances where we didn't see how they got in, but the second they're in, and then there's sideways movement, and then you start to see that exfil and the baseline or the AI saying, "Hey, this device is never connected to this IP or this website." And all of a sudden we have all of this data that's starting to pump out. Like we get notified to that pretty quickly, and have been able to take action. Where you run into problems is that where a customer, like I said, again, if we're not managing their environment, they have their own IT set, you give them recommendations on how things should be handled, dealing with a threat actor in their internal network. Like you're on a timeline. Once the threat actor knows you're there, your timeline shortens. Once the threat actor knows your timeline shrinks significantly. And so you're up against the clock and making sure that you get those things done. And if you don't do those in a set way, and there have been times we've made those recommendations and they've not been adhered to, then you find yourselves on the wrong end of ransomware. So
Great, thank you. Hey, another topic, you and I didn't discuss this, so I'm going to hit it with your broadside here. But so when you have a lot of customers like you guys do, reporting is important, right? Getting them reports so they can see the value of what they're paying for, and maybe get an update on what's happening in their environment. Talk a little bit about reporting, how you guys use reporting, and what kind of things you send out to your customers, and how it's received.
Yeah, I'll just use an example. I'll give you two examples here. One, we had a customer who was facing a denial of service attack. We had got notifications to it and notified them to it, and they reached out to their ISP for assistance. The ISP told them that it was not an inbound denial of service. And so at that point, what we did is we were able to run reports in the Seceon platform that allowed us to show the inbound data that was causing their denial of service. And so that's an example of using reports to back up what you're seeing in the portal. From the aspect of regular reporting, for us, every customer gets a SOC report. A lot of customers get the security posture report. And those that request it will get the operations view report. But we also have numerous customers that leverage the customized reporting. We have a customer that wanted to know about every firewall flag that they got, whether it was GAV, IPS, IDS. We built out a custom report for that. We have custom reports for we have a customer that wants to know about every failed login, SSL VPN login. We built them out a custom report to that. So essentially, if you can think of it, we build it.
Great. Hey, you brought up a topic there that I'll touch on and let you comment on. So, there are certain things that, might not be typically something you would alert on, right? Or you would even get an alert on, like a failed login. I mean, that might be part of a larger attack, but some customers, as you just said, might want to know every time there is one, right? So,
Yep.
so the ability to build what we call user-defined alerts, and then I'll also let you comment on trusted threat indicators. How valuable is that for you guys?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that a threat actor will do is what they're going to establish a foothold and persistency. Typically, that's through account creations. So once they get in and they've elevated their access, they're going to typically create an account with admin privileges. And so for most of our customers, where we can, some don't have AD, but those that do, we build out UDAs to notify on user accounts created, because if all of a sudden we see 2 or 3 accounts being created at 2 a.m. in the morning, that is a flag for our team and should be reviewed. From the aspect of trusted threat indicators, I'll give you an example of, print server. SNMP is used for printing. And so if we have a customer with that in their environment, we're going to use a trusted threat indicator because for that SNMP traffic off of that print server, because that's what print servers do. So, and then that kind of points back to what I was talking about when I was stating tuning. We use the trusted threat indicators to when we're baselining out a customer in the initial phases and we're looking at everything, we're asking them, if we don't have an intimate knowledge or management of their environment, what's this server doing? What's this? And so on, until we've painted that picture with them and tuned or used trusted threat indicators with the system tuning itself to get to the point where, alerts are more than manageable.
Good. Hey, another topic here. So, there's a lot of platforms out there, a lot of solutions out there that will let's say detect types of alerts, detect ransomware. But what they will do is, once they see files encrypted, they'll let you know, hey, you've been ransomware. Well, that's not really, in my opinion, very valuable. Now you know that it happened, but you were going to find out anyway because you weren't going to be able to access your files. One of the things that ideally our platform does for someone like you is let you detect things early, right? So,
Yep.
Early in the process, long before you ever get to encryption or exfiltration, it's going to detect, things that look like they're part of an attack. So talk a little bit about that and how, what you're seeing, how early are things getting detected? How often are you getting breached, your customers getting breached, and so forth?
Yeah. And so, from the aspect of, and I think that Maggie had brought it up, 20 to 30 ransomwares per month that we're stopping. The basis on that is, seeing the comp creds or seeing the brute force attack inbound via SSL VPN, or seeing that, hey, all of a sudden there may be some data exfil here, or the lateral movement by the threat actor through the environment. I liken it to poison ivy. When you see something like that in the very early stages, and you can reach out to the customer and shut down what it is that's happening, in regards to an SSL VPN login or that lateral movement or data exfil, whatever it may be that comes from the alert. But there are so many different levels, whether it's the access in or the lateral movement or again, them being on the device and starting to do, you know, starting to map out the network and starting to determine what is where. You were getting all of those indicators very early, and allowing us to take actions and stop anything before they have the opportunity for ransomware, and own the data. Obviously, you want to stop that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, one last question here for me, and if anybody else wants to chime in with others to pick Roger's brain, great. But so you've been with Logically / Certain now for over 10 years. We've worked with you that whole time, or most of that time anyway. And one of the things we pride ourselves on is listening to our customers, taking their feedback, and making additions, making corrections based on input from them. So I'd like to get your take on how that's worked for you, your relationship with us and our platform.
Sure. What I can say is that it's still to this day, it amazes me, even though I think our partnership's at the 6-year mark. It just absolutely amazes me that I can, have a customer that has something that's proprietary, and just tell them, hey, point that right at the collector. I run a packet capture on it, open a ticket, send it over. And, 2 weeks later, I have a hot fix setting in my hands. I've worked with a lot of SIEMs over the years, and I can tell you that never happens. And so, I could send that off to, another large competitor, and I won't mention any names. It doesn't matter. You could pick any of them, and I may never hear anything ever. And so I can't begin to, sing the praises of the development team, or, open a ticket with some ideas about, hey, we really like this functionality, but can we add this to it? And they've been extremely receptive to those things, and it's I wouldn't say a breath of fresh air because but it's definitely something that I've never had any other SIEM that I've ever worked with do for us. So.
All right. Well, hey, Roger, thank you very much for sharing your insights and experiences with us.